Most warm greetings to all you beautiful souls. We cannot help but just enjoy every time we say that because the connection, even though you may not be watching us for some time, we feel the connection and we are so, so grateful to be to be connected with you. You are a great collective. You do not understand that yet, but these steps you are taking are the expression of your collective, your greater consciousness, the fact that you are those you love and those you hate. And as you start to accept those parts within you, you grow stronger, more diverse, more awake, more alive, and we're better able to connect with you. So thank you. Thank you so much for who you are and who you're becoming. The channel Peter has asked that we speak today about story. What is the story you are telling about your life? And it's not just you're telling a story about your life, but your story is, in many cases, your life. You see, if you operate at an unconscious level, where your reality is determined by your unconscious beliefs, then your story is, oh, this happened to me and that happened to me. And it's your reality. As you learn about mastery and becoming more, you realize you can tell a different story. And as you tell that different story, you become that different story because you're telling your focal point, your awareness, your consciousness being absorbed and into a story is what creates that story. Now, as you start to awaken and ascend, what's going to happen is you'll consider telling a new story and you'll get resistance, right? Because the mind doesn't really want to let go of whatever control it has. The mind is not your enemy. The mind is your friend. Understand that. But you are not your mind. And your mind has for so long moved so fast in conjunction with what we call an ego that we think we are our mind. We think, therefore, we are, according to some of our philosophers. And now your mind is being asked to move into a different place. Are you one who just says, oh, something new and I don't know what it is? Yes, I'm jumping right in. Or do you go slow and put a toe in and feel it? Or no, I don't want to change anything. It may be crappy where I'm at, but it's my crap and it's warm and I'm happy. Oh, the channel Peter was eating breakfast this morning, and the neighbor's dog was baying and howling and barking, just crazy, crazy barking, like it usually does. And he commented to his wife, he said, wow, our neighbor lives in hell, and she loves it. Because when I asked about her dog, she said, oh, I love him so much. I know he's a problem, but I love him so much. So the story she tells is that this response from this animal is love. Ah. You see how we tell stories and we become them? Yeah. So as you start to tell a new story, you'll find all the resistance in you about what you want to believe or what you can't believe or what your mind trying to hold on to. No, this is my reality. I can't let it go. There's many aspects to this that we'd like to dive into today for you to just consider telling a new story. Channel Peter, when he was young, used to hitchhike across the country back and forth at will in summers. Because he was just unafraid, just, oh, I'm going there and I'm going to get there. And people would pick him up and take him. And he started playing a game when he did. He decided that he would just tell whatever story he wanted to tell about who he was for the number of hours he was in that person's car. And it was quite liberating to be whomever, to tell whatever, rather than just the same old story. And he didn't know it at the time, but he was actually training himself to be the potentialities by playing the game of telling a different story because there were no stake in it. He's never going to see those people again. Can you tell a different story today? Do you even want to? People get together and haven't seen each other in a while, and they go over their list of medications and what their doctors have told them, the story somebody else said, the diagnosis by these smart people in white coats. And they say, oh, this is my reality. And they compare it and they go, oh, yeah, that's the way it is. You're doing great. Really? Is that really the reality you want? I mean, come on. Some of these smart people in white coats have told us one thing about the jab, and now there are articles being published saying the exact opposite, and it's much worse in the long run. Oh, but is our media system telling that story? No. So, whose story are you going to tell? Are you going to tell somebody else's story? You're going to tell yours. And if you're going to tell your story, are you locked into what you can tell is your story? People who are very close with their family and they get together and they recount everything that happened, blow by blow, good or bad. And the good stuff is good, of course, but the bad stuff is, oh, this happened and then that happened. Okay? So it's cemented into place. I have suffered with my family. And so therefore they know my suffering and they know me. Is that really how it is? Can't they just know you as a spirit and happy? Can't you just tell? Oh, but I'm not telling the truth if I don't tell what happened. Are you telling the truth or are you telling a truth? You understand if you just go over and over what's happened to you and it's been a bad story, then that's being cemented into place brick by brick. Yes, it's my story. I must live with it as my burden. I must bear it. Can you just tell the story that, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good? Not get into the details that you may not be happy about because why? Why? Oh, they won't know me. Do you really want to lead and share as, oh, I'm broken? I mean, yes, of course, you need to address what comes up in you. We've said that over and over, clear, 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 clear. You must. And you must tell your story to those you're closest to and trust if you tell your story as part of clearing. But if you tell your story as, oh, woe me, give me pity, the best expression the channel Peter ever heard was when he first joined AA many decades ago. And they said to him, pour me, pour me, pour me a drink. Do you want to tell a story of pour me, pour me, pour me? Or do you want to tell the story that you're amazing and just maybe you are? See, now it's hard for people to tell the story they're amazing because we're quite limited by our circumstance in many instances. We can't even consider a better option. The channel Peter was excited about this topic because the prior evening he was sitting in on a healing session. A woman friend of his who has extraordinary abilities is learning not to doubt them and just use them. That itself is an adventure, telling the story of I am powerful instead of the story of I am doubtful. She even asked the question, what do you do when doubt goes on and where doubt comes up? And the channel Peter says, you carry on. So what? Are you your doubt? We keep thinking, like, for example, you're in a conversation with somebody and you have thoughts. Do you just speak all your thoughts or do you just speak some of them? Right. So you realize that you're not all your thoughts because they don't just come out automatically. You choose what thoughts you share. Now you're going to choose what thoughts you accept as valid. See, the question is, are you your thoughts or are you the observer of your thoughts? And if you're the observer of your thoughts, then you're the expanded consciousness. And the thoughts are their own thing. And the doubts and fears are their own thing. And they're not you. And you can choose to identify with them, or you could say, oh, I'm having that again. Oh, that's the 15th time today I've had that one. Wow. But it's not you, it's the observing of you, which then gives you the expanded consciousness to be whatever you choose, to tell whatever story you want to tell while you're hitchhiking or playing the game of life. We can't help laugh because the channel Peter is sitting here remembering a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where that's all it is people just told stories as they moved around through incredible experiences. So in this opportunity of the evening prior, Channel Peter had just received powerful healing. He could feel it. The energy was transmitting. And the woman who was doing this said to another friend, would you like some? And he had an ongoing problem that he was dealing with, and she's working on him. And she kept asking him, can you just tell something different about this? And he was telling every story, why he had it, how it was destined, and karma, and this and that. And she says to him, are you willing to let go of this? And he continues to tell the story. And after a while, someone else in the room said, you really avoided that question. And then he continued to tell the story. So the woman channeling the energy to him said, okay, can you repeat after me? And he had to focus and try to get the words out. It doesn't matter what happened to me. I don't even have to know why or when it happened. And I am willing to experience something new. And that was a hard thing for him to get across, that he could be something else in that moment. You see how our story keeps us fixed in place, in time, in what we call, oh, but it's reality. It happened. Well, of course it did, because you're holding that story, and that's how reality works. It manifests as you hold the story. So if you work backwards from reality to what you must say is going on, then you're always going to get confirmed. Confirmation bias will always happen. You will always have the data and examples show up to prove whatever it is you're thinking, because that's how reality works. But if you understand it's your thinking that brings you to it, it's the story. So what story are you going to tell? Channel Peter was in the presence of Ramtha, a great teacher who was on the planet. And the ram was being channeled by another being, an incarnate being. And the ram drew a big circle on the board. And he put a little dot in the center of the circle. And he said, this dot is you. And he drew a line from that dot in the center all the way to the edge of the circle. And he said, this is everything you've mastered. And you know what it's called? Misery. You are masters of misery. Now you've got this whole untouched circle here. Why not try mastering some of that? But it means letting go of your story, letting go of your comfort, letting go of your identity. See, that's the big key, is letting go of your identity. What precipitated all this awareness in the channel Peter was earlier, prior evening, before the session where they were practicing on healing. He was part of a group meditation. And the person who was guiding the intent for the meditation took them to the end of time, where they were sitting on a park bench. And normally they sit on the park bench when he does this meditation with who he is at the end of time. All his awareness, all his consciousness, everything, and just get cuddled and nurtured. But today was different. They sat on the park bench and they let their awareness become the park bench. Then they let their awareness become everything that was in view or in sight of where the park bench was. So he went to the end of the time and became everything. Feel that for a second. Breathe in. I am everything. God within you is connected to all the God. It's all God stuff. God didn't create the universe out of something that wasn't God, since there was only God, right? It had to be God stuff that it was created out of, which means you are connected to everything. You are a consciousness that is in a field of God. And can feel that connection? And if you are, what kind of story are you going to tell? Wow, I'm expansive, I'm connected. And that's really what it is for our planet too. As you start to tell the story, I'm connected to those I hate. What? Yes, we share God stuff. More importantly, we share consciousness on the planet at this time, which means that they're a reflection to me. If I am seeing them, they are a reflection to me. They are attracted to what my consciousness is holding. So there are stories I'm telling about myself that involve this conflict. Now, if I can tell a story that's different, one where I am the collective and I am both parts of this, wow, that is very different now, isn't it? And then there's no more longer a conflict because you've healed and become. And those things that were in opposition no longer have anything to fight against. So they either leave the space or start to realize, wow, this feels nice. And they'll have their changes because you changed. So that's the story we really want you to tell. The story of oneness, the story of how you're connected. And you can start with your own personal story. You're healthy and well. And then whatever comes up with that, you deal with it by clearing, moving your charges. And if you can't think of anything, then that's your first step, is to practice that. One of the seminal moments in Channel Peter's life, he was in the presence of a monk who he respected. The monk said, "What's the biggest thing you can think of?" And the channel told him, and the monk said, "Now think bigger." Can you, will you think bigger? Will you let go of your story, let go of your identity long enough to feel, oh my God, what does it feel like when I'm not identified as me, this, here, now, and this happening? Those are the big questions. And if you choose to go down that path, that is the fast road, literally the fast road to becoming everything you want for yourself and the planet. That is your ascension. That is your awakening. That is your awareness. Start to tell a different story and be aware of the resistance that comes up as you do. And like anything, it takes practice. You can't just be Shakespeare in a second unless you've mastered the ability of just moving into a new consciousness. But until you master that ability, you practice, right? Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but yesterday, Channel Peter was in the presence of his friend who literally was showing Christ-like abilities to heal flesh wounds in real time, visible to the eye, just heal them. That's happening all over the planet. These abilities are happening with people everywhere. Stuff that we thought was unimaginable, that was only reserved for the gods or legends or myth, is happening. Are you going to tell the story that allows that to become you? It was funny because he was dealing with a person who had doubt and fear over such things, which of course is normal if you look at how history has unfolded and the many lives we've spent where that was suppressed by people who want to keep us suppressed. You know who they are. They're the same people telling you the stories about your health and how they're going to fix you, keeping you powerless. But as you claim these powers, you'll clear all that and become. That is what we're becoming, where we start to show Christ-like powers. I mean, Christ did say that, right? All this and more you too shall do. So are you going to tell that story? Or are you going to tell the story of you're sick and I'm hurt? These are the questions to ask. There's no right or wrong. It's just how you choose to experience and how you choose to evolve and become. We want to encourage you to choose being part of the collective, being connected, which means letting go of your own pain and experiencing what's on the bigger side, which of course our first start is a bigger pain because there's many people in pain. But as you see that, you don't get numb to it. You realize that's me and you heal what's in you, that is you. And then you feel the bliss and the connection, and they feel the bliss and the connection. And that's how we help everyone and become the most magnificent beings that we are. So please consider, tell a story of how magnificent you are. You don't need to go over detail of the problem. You can experience the problem and clear it if you choose. Share it with a trusted friend once. if you choose. Or just move your consciousness right to your magnificence and understand that you are worthy of that magnificence. You're being the warrior, the strong one, the brave one, because you're facing all these things that have made you shudder and fear and cower in the past, and make millions still shudder and fear and cower for their present. You're facing that. You are the leader when you do that. You are the change when you do that. You are the magnificence because you are telling the story of your magnificence. Many blessings to you.